Hey guys, this is Yagoman, and today I'm going to show you how I took this and made it sound like this. This song is called To Be Someone, and it's my latest collaboration with the artist Uma. So if you haven't checked it out, just click on the link below and let me know what you think. Alright, so let's get to it. Okay, so this whole thing started almost 2 years ago when I was playing around with my classical guitar and I came up with this. So, very simple idea, 3 different chords, just playing a little arpeggio. I added a little lo-fi beat on top of it. And I posted it on Instagram and I didn't do anything with it for like almost 2 years. And then at the beginning of the lockdown, I was going through my all sessions and all ideas, and I sent this to my friend Uma. She's an incredible singer, songwriter, producer, and just amazing musician overall. And she texted me back and she's like, hey, I love this. Let's just do something with it. Let's write a song. And I got really excited about it. So I let her do her thing. I came back to my Logic session and I started rearranging the whole track. And that's what I'm about to show you. So let's get into it. I think I'm just going to go track by track here. I'm going to start with the classical guitar. Cool, this is the exact same recording that you just heard on that Instagram post. And what I did after is that I just duplicated that one and I panned them left and right. And I added a little H delay to the second one, but it's a very short one, not to create the typical delay effect, but to create something called the Has effect, which moves that audio file just a little bit to the right, and it makes you feel and believe that there's 2 different instruments coming out of the speakers when it's actually the exact same audio file. So I'm going to play it with and without. Here's with. Without. Cool. As far as effects, I'm not really doing anything to them. I did get rid of the low frequencies to make room for the bass and the kick and other elements. And I added a little de-esser at the end of the chain to get rid of those squeaky sounds that sometimes happen when playing any kind of guitar. So as far as drums, these are very simple drums. I got most of the sounds from Splice, and I was looking for more of like a draggy feel. So what I did to achieve that was that I chose 4 different sounds for my snare. And if you can see right here, they are all a little bit off the grid. That not only gives you a little bit more of a draggy feel, but it also gives you a little bit more of a crunchy sound. So it makes it sound like this instead of this. I have a few hi-hats here and a few reverse crashes for transitions, and I'm sending everything to a bus in which I am applying a little bit of a parallel compression with my CLA 3A by Waves, which makes it sound a little bit more punchier and in your face. We're gonna add the classical guitars on top of it. It starts grooving. Now let's go with the synths and the strings. I have 2 different synth sounds and they're both Wurlitzer based kind of samples and sounds. The first one is this guy right here. This is a stock plugin from Logic, which I really like, and to add a little bit more personality to it, I added a little bit of lo-fi with the iZotope Vinyl, which is a free plugin and you should get it. And then I did the same thing with the guitars. I duplicated it, added a little H delay. And when it comes to the second sound, we also have a Wurlitzer, but this one comes from the Arturia Analog Lab library, which is one of my favorites. and it's got a different sound. So it sounds like this. Same chords, but two different textures, and together they sound like this. And I have this string sample here that I created myself. Very airy with a lot of dimension. I'm also getting rid of those low frequencies. And together, all of those keyboards and strings sound like this. Let's talk about bass, one of the most important and most difficult things to control in a mix. What I normally do is that I duplicate the main bass audio file, and I call one of them bass high and the other one I call it bass low. What I do with the bass high is that I get rid of all the low frequencies up to 250, and what I do with the bass low is that I get rid of all those high frequencies down to 250 as well. Then I add a little distortion to the high one, which will bring out an important sound to me, which is the attack on the strings and some other things that will add personality to that bass. And that way you have better control, and you can also create your perfect mix and your perfect blend. So let's listen to that bass all together. Now let's listen to the bass high by itself. And now let's listen to the bass low. Now let's listen to the whole thing in context. A very cool part of this process was creating the guitar solo. I came up with a few ideas and I sent them to Uma, and she called me back and she said, "Why don't we just make your guitar sound like a synth?" And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. So let me show you what this sounds like by itself, and then I'll tell you what's in it. So the first thing I did was stepped on my distortion pedal, and then I went to my Line 6 HX Stomp, which comes with an interesting guitar synth preset. I played around with it a little bit, and then I added the Electro Harmonix POG 2. I played around with the octaves and the attack, which gives me that really cool micro swell at the beginning of each note. And then I added a fair amount of delay and reverb. And I was really happy with it, and this is the way it sounds together with a whole beat. The most important part of a song: the melody, the lyrics, and the vocals. Uma gave me so much to work with, and all of it was amazing, so I'm gonna have a really good time showing you what we did here. We're gonna take the second chorus, the last chorus, as an example. She recorded the melody 3 times, and what I did here is that I kept one of them in the middle and the other 2 are panned hard left and hard right. And what this creates is a really cool 3-dimensional atmosphere, and it's not exactly something that you will notice. It just gives that melody and that vocal the lift that it needs towards the end. So let's listen to just that by itself.
Hoping to be someone, falling, you're falling apart.
The vocal chain is pretty simple as well. I am adding a little EQ at the beginning to get rid of some of the frequencies that that were giving me a little trouble. After that, I am adding a little compression with the CLA2A, and then a little distortion with the Manny Marroquin drive. Then I am sending this to two different buses. One of them is a reverb bus, which has the Abbey Road plates, and the other one is the H delay with just a very, very subtle delay. One more thing that she did that was really, really awesome is that she recorded some ahs and she harmonized them. And that really helps because it works as a little pad that you can put underneath the vocals, and it just gives them that incredible lift that a last chorus needs before the song ends. So let's listen to those ahs by itself, and then I'll put everything together.
Hoping to be someone, falling, you're falling apart. Hoping someone will care, falling.
Now, last but definitely not least is the mastering process. Now, I'm going to say this, I'm not a mastering engineer, and to become one, you need a lot of skill and preparation. Having said that, there are a lot of really, really cool tools out there that you can use to add those final touches to your mix that will make your song sound amazingly well. I'm using the Ozone 9 by iZotope, which is one of my favorite plugins because it comes with this master assistant that will give you a great starting point in case you don't know anything about mastering. I'm not really going to talk too much about the details of mastering right here, but I do want to show you what I did. I created my own little chain right here, and I'm going to play the song and I'm going to bypass it so that you can hear the difference with and without it. So my three favorite things that I was able to achieve with this plugin was a better control over my dynamics with this maximizer, a much more focused low end, and a better stereo image. Alright guys, that was a whole session breakdown for the song. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, comments, or anything that you would like to share, please do so in the comment section below. And also, I'm going to be making more of these videos, so stay tuned, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.